Could Kevin Durant survive the Hunger Games?
I love hoop scenarios.
Most people in the Hunger Games panic within minutes. The fear, pressure, and paranoia mentally destroy people long before the arena does. But Kevin Durant built his entire career around staying calm while everybody else collapsed under pressure. To answer this, we need to break it down into three categories. A, why Durant is capable. B, what made the Hunger Games so dangerous. And C, how Durant could realistically survive it. So first, why is Durant even capable of this? Because throughout his entire career, Kevin Durant built a reputation around composure, precision, and performing under pressure. And no version represents that better than his playoff runs during the late 2000s. During that stretch, Durant constantly dealt with injuries, criticism, hostile crowds, and enormous expectations while still performing at an elite level.
Like KD was straight business.
But stats alone don't explain why he'd fit the Hunger Games. Because Durant's biggest advantage wasn't strength alone, it was calmness, efficiency, and the ability to stay dangerous under pressure. And honestly, that mentality matters a lot in the Hunger Games. Because survival there wasn't just about overpowering people physically. It was about intelligence, adaptability, patience, and knowing how to survive once fear started spreading. Most people in the Hunger Games panicked once chaos started, but Durant built his entire career around staying composed in high-pressure environments. And we've seen that throughout his career. Clutch playoff performances, impossible shots, hostile arenas, moments where everybody else tightened up while Durant stayed completely calm. That level of composure matters in the Hunger Games, because survival wouldn't depend purely on aggression. It would depend on decision-making under pressure.
Are you concerned at all about the workload that you put in so far today?
No. Let me die out there.
And another reason Durant fits this environment is adaptability. Throughout his career, Durant constantly adjusted depending on defenses, teammates, and situations around him. And that ability to evolve quickly would become incredibly valuable in an environment where situations constantly changed. Now let's move on to Section B. What actually made the Hunger Games so dangerous? The Hunger Games wasn't just a competition. It was psychological warfare. The environment constantly forced people into fear, exhaustion, and paranoia. At any moment, alliances could collapse, resources could disappear, and danger could come from almost anywhere. On top of that, survival depended heavily on composure. Because once panic started spreading, people stopped thinking clearly. And mentally exhausted people usually made fatal mistakes. But probably the biggest challenge was pressure. Knowing people were constantly hunting, you slowly destroyed most competitors mentally over time. Now on to Section C. How could Durant realistically survive this? The first factor is composure. Durant built his career around staying calm in enormous pressure situations. And in the Hunger Games, that mentality becomes incredibly valuable because survival often depends on staying focused while everybody else panics. Now the second factor is precision. Durant is one of the most efficient scorers in basketball history. And while basketball obviously isn't survival combat, the ability to stay accurate and controlled under pressure still matters, especially in dangerous situations where small mistakes become deadly.
Kevin Durant is a transcendent talent, bro. Like we've never
seen it before.
We've never seen anybody like KD. And
But probably the biggest factor is mentality. Most people in the Hunger Games slowly became emotional once fear and pressure took over. Durant usually played his best once the pressure became overwhelming. And psychologically, that changes everything. Because in survival environments, the people capable of staying calm usually last the longest. Now, does this guarantee he survives? No. The Hunger Games would still be unbelievably dangerous. The odds would still be against him. But when you compare the Hunger Games' biggest challenge, mentally overwhelming people with fear, pressure, and unpredictability, with someone whose entire career was built around composure, precision, adaptability, and performing under pressure, Kevin Durant would absolutely have a realistic chance. And that's why Kevin Durant could survive the Hunger Games.